Donna's podcast, talking
Our
rides.
very first
podcast. Welcome.
I'm the president.
Vice president, unfortunately. Donna's one of my favorite people in the whole world ever. Let's start and talk about how I heard about you first.
Okay.
Our mutual buddy, Greg Weiss, from Optical Etching. Plexiglass guy I dealt with in Rockland for a long time, and he always told me, you have to meet Donna Kessler. I mean, if
he's very melodramatic.
Well, but he was right. He told me, he's like, you'd love Donna. You gotta meet Donna. You love Donna. She's in Orange County. And then when we met, I was like, they're so right. And Greg, you know Greg, he's like his own language, you know. It's funny because when he was up, I was up at Gil's shop one day, and him and Gil were talking, and Gil looks over at me and goes, you speak, Greg. Can you get over here? And, so it's good. He's always been, Greg and me have been going back like over 15 years. You know, he was doing things for me, so it was pretty cool, So that's what he told me. And then when we met, I was like, this is exactly right. So I have a couple questions for you to start this with, if you don't mind me. Personal? Nothing too personal. So my first question is, because you get to interview a lot of people, not a lot of people ask you too many questions. So my question is kind of an honor to be able to be on this side of the table for us.
Oh, jeez.
So what would you say got you into the passion for cars or motorcycles? Was it a family thing? How did that start for you?
It was a boyfriend thing.
Uh-oh.
Now, you know Jay. Jay's my husband.
Okay. Is he going to get mad? Jay?
No, he loves
it.
He loves it. We dated like probably for like 15 years before we got married.
Okay.
And we were like, I think I met him like in, I guess it was junior year in high school.
Okay.
And he's just always been a gearhead.
Okay.
Always had cars and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So,
he's awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
He's starting to smile. You get him to smile more often.
That's the hard part.
It's such a thing. When he smiles, it fills me up inside. I'm like, it's like, you know, some people like that are quiet and then they say a joke you appreciate so much more. When he just cracks a grin, I'm like, that's awesome.
It makes your day.
Yeah,
right?
It totally makes your day. He's always like, it's like that angry cat. You know, he's always like got that look on his face.
Yeah.
How's he doing, by the way? Is he doing okay from the shoulder?
Yeah, doing good.
Okay.
He had a little bit of surgery, and he now is in physical therapy, and that is going well.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of pain going on, but that's of course from doing things that he hasn't done in a long time. You know.
I was supposed to bring him the spare ribs, and I never.
No.
I have something. I got him when we were out in Vegas. I got him a gift that we'll get it to him.
Yeah. But he's always been a gearhead, always was involved with cars, and when I started dating him, it's like, you know, I had no choice. But I learned a lot from him, and I just like gained this passion and been rocking and rolling with it ever since.
Yeah, in case anybody doesn't know about Donna, you know, if this reaches, you know, a little further than the tri-state area, which everyone knows Donna, you've single-handedly, I think, carried this community on your back. I don't even know if you realize it.
No.
But you have. It's like you're that one standard. And like that's what Greg was trying to tell me. He goes, you just, and you know, Greg has so many thoughts, and he just like, you know, spits them out. And it's like, and then now that I've got to know you over the years, you know, it's like how much you embrace the community and how much good things you do. You're really almost like the glue.
Well, you know what it was? It was an audience that never had a voice in the paper before.
Yeah.
And way back when.
When did you start, by the way, with the paper?
When did I start with the paper?
Yeah. When did you start?
32 years ago.
Really? Okay.
Yep, and I've been doing My Ride, which is my feature column in the Times Herald Record. I've been doing that for 13 years.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, going on 14.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's an audience that, like I said, didn't have a voice before. When the paper used to get something from an MC, they wouldn't put it in because of the whole ideal behind MC.
Yeah.
So, believe me, if I hit some roadblocks at the paper,
Yeah.
put some stuff in the paper, they're like, why'd you put that in?
Yeah.
But it's a voice that they've never had.
That's cool.
And they do a lot of good things, and they should be recognized for it. Both car clubs and bike clubs.
Yeah, well, bike clubs always have that...
Sons of Anarchy kind of.
Yeah, that kind of vibe. And it's funny because, I mean,
very intimidating.
Yeah, there are motorcycle guys that are legitimately scary people, and then they're biker guys that you look at them and they're the biggest teddy bears in the world.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
That's like what I live my whole life by. So that's awesome.
They're the best friends to have.
Yeah, certainly.
But that's how it all started, and that's still rock and roll and strong.
Yeah, it seems like it's getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah. Went to Pennsylvania and Connecticut.
Yeah.
I travel all over Laconia, and I'm going to Myrtle in May.
And you're going to Vegas this year, SEMA?
Yeah, that's so my friend says.
Yeah, we're going. If I have to drag you there, you better have a backpack. We're going.
But it's the only article feature of its kind in the Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
We're the only newspaper that carries that.
What I like about it is that it's not just one week it's a classic car, 1 week it's maybe a custom car, 1 week it's an interior, 1 week it's a motorcycle thing, and then, getting the shows out. That's my buddy from Car Show Nationals, Mike Lynn. I want you to meet him. He's a sweetheart of a guy. And he has a national website, like a database for United States. So if you have a car show, you put it on his page, and then he promotes it. So if someone's coming to the New York area, they can look and see, okay, this show is in New York. I mean, it's funny because there are shows sometimes that are right down the road.
And you never know.
There have been shows in Pine Island that I'm here working, and there's a car show going on.
Yeah.
And people are like, why aren't you at the car show? I'm like, where's there a car show?
Yeah.
Right there, you know? So that's.
It was always the flyer in the car.
Yeah.
You know, and it never got past the car people. You know, and there's families with kids and stuff that, are interested in this stuff.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Little kids love cars.
Love it. Yeah.
Love motorcycles.
Yeah.
You know. But it never reached that audience.
Yeah.
You know, because it was always, like I said, the flyer, and it was tossed in the car or given to the car folk, and that's as far as it got.
Yeah. And then now you have an audience that bring new people into it.
Yeah.
It's great. It's funny because people would throw flyers into my car, and you get so many, you would take them and crunch them out. I actually had a car show. I think I was talking to you about it, and I didn't check to see if there was another competing show. We did a car show for the Humane Society in Warwick.
Yes.
And we just happened to pick a day. There was a giant car show. I don't know if it was in Montgomery, I think. And it was like the same day. And we got a decent turnout, but I was expecting a lot more cars. And then everyone that rolled in was like, well, that other show.
That's a hard thing, because there's only so many weekends in the summer.
Yeah.
And there's so many car shows, and it's just hard fitting them all. And the Car Association, which we have, we try to avoid that kind of conflict, and it's made up of car clubs, and we try to support where we can, But it's difficult. I mean, and so too, being from one spectrum like Montgomery to Warwick, that's a long stretch. So
but
you
it's
might
still
not,
local.
Yes, but you might not get somebody from Warwick driving all the way to Montgomery. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in a way, it's they complain about it, but in a way, you get a choice. Of which one you want to go to.
Yeah. Well, you know what, with us, because we were such a new show, I think that was our second show, we were still building up an audience, and it was really all for animals anyway. Yeah. So, we had people that were, hardcore animal people that would just come into the car show just to bring food and do something cool. So it was a nice, that part of it was still great. We still raised money. It was still awesome. But again, I should have looked at that and said, what's going on, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So,
now you have to tell everybody about you. My gosh. My gosh. You're so humble. Look at these walls.
I feel, okay, so going back to all this and having this stuff displayed, it was very hard for me for a long time. And, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram,
Right.
And, a couple of my friends were like, why don't you do more with what you've already done? And I'm like, yeah, but it's about what we're going to do next. Like, no, but you still have to do it a little. I feel really blessed that I found my passion. I think a lot of people out there, I forgot who said it, and I'm not going to quote it correctly, but the guy basically said there's people out there that can, hit a golf club better than Tiger Woods that's never swung a club,
Right.
So for me, I feel really lucky that I found my passion relatively early, even though I didn't realize it was my passion. I didn't realize it was going to become a career. I didn't realize that any of this stuff was going to happen. It was just me loving it is what kept me, stuck to it. The funny thing about this is you see sometimes the great stuff, some of the stuff you did for me, the magazines, the TV, that's all great. But at the end of the day, you're still under a car, rusty, sweaty, aggravated, or I'm here working on a Sunday when everyone else is off, and I get that all the time. Like, I'll put a picture of like me fishing on Facebook, and I'll get someone like, "Oh, you have time to fish?" I'm like, I only work 90 hours a week. Maybe if I sneak out for an hour to fish, I get that thing. But I feel really blessed that that I found this, and really this kept me out of trouble. When I was young and my friends were out doing some stupid stuff, I was in the garage working on my car.
There you go.
It really kept, and they say like idle hands, devil's playground, whatever. That was really what I think saved me to a degree, because it brings you a lot of stress, because you deal with customers that no matter how hard you try to be great to people still can be just
absolutely. There's one in every bunch.
Yeah, it's just sometimes a few in everybody.
Yeah.
So like it comes with stress, it comes with aggravation, it comes with like putting your head on a chopping block. And we did overhauling. I still remember when we brought the car to the Leno shop, it didn't run. Okay, and they just assumed because we were the last person to touch it, it was our fault. So we're in line, waiting in line. That's how stressful Leno's garage was, and it wasn't for him. Leno was very cool and relaxed and like, hey, joking, but everyone around him was like, it's Jay Leno, and it's almost like they put him up higher on the pedestal than he wants to be. So we're in line waiting to go in, and they come out. They go, Golden, the car won't start. You guys were in it last, and I'm sitting there like, huh? Like my soul fell out of my body. I was standing there like just a bag of nothing. And I look at my buddy Petey, and he was the one who did. And we kept it very simple wiring to the car. So if we had a problem, it was A, B, or C, not like all over the place. So I said, Petey, please go in there and look for something else, because what we did didn't break, because we went so far overboard to be careful. So he goes in there, and they come back out. They're like, Golden, you got to get in there. The car's not starting. We got to start filming. And I'm like,
oh my God.
It was literally the worst moment. Literal, like, 3 moments, 3 minutes. The worst 3 minutes of my life. And as I'm walking in, as my foot, literally timing, as my foot hit the floor into Leno's garage, it started running. So, and I literally, I probably, like, shook. Like, I was so, like, oh, And what happened was one of the guys that actually did the ignition switch left the nut off it. Simple, but when you move the car around, it just fell off. He found it, he fixed it. But
how did you get on overhauling to begin with?
We actually were through a friend of mine, knew a couple producers of the show. Roundabout through people, friends of friends. This gentleman Darren, who actually I'm going to be hopefully working with soon again on something else. And he was like, "Oh, my friend Ed, you'd be perfect. Let's do it." He set it up with one guy. That guy left or got fired or whatever happened. The second producer, same thing. So when I got to a show, I think we were at a Funkmaster Flex show. Chip Foose was there doing a signing, and his wife comes over to me, who I didn't know was his wife, and she goes, "Oh, this car's really interesting. Would you mind if my husband looks at it?" And I said, okay. I let people, my car was winning, and not to be cocky, but my car was winning every show I went to. Best of show. If we didn't get best show, we got every other trophy they had. And I still let people sit in it. I let kids sit in it. People take pictures.
Was that the vet?
People sit on it. I look at it like this.
Radical.
I built the car, and it was even a little too much for me, but, it was needed at the time. I built the car to be a show car, and that's what comes with show cars, there's some people that rope off their cars, and I get it. I understand it. But to me, like, I drove my car to some shows. It's funny, because I had one guy call my car Trailer Queen, and I drove it through a torrential storm to get there. So it was like, I've always been really cool with people. Look, it's like, if you're going to get that serious where you're upset at a car show,
don't go.
Then don't be part of it. Because I'm not going to tell some kid he can't sit in my car. You can sit in my car. And it's funny, there was this one kid, and he was sitting in a car, and I see him looking around. He starts looking around. I'm like, this kid's up to something. What's he about to do? And sure enough, we had the car had like these plexiglass talons that it was like kind of biomechanical looking, back when I thought that was cool. So the kid's looking at it, and he's looking at it, he's looking at it, and he just turns around. He looks to see if he has a path to run, and he rips this thing out of the thing in his hand and just takes off. By the time I reacted, I started laughing, because I was like, okay, that's a story. Now I have a story.
You read that one like a book.
So, when Chip came walking over, I was like, oh, Chip Foose, interesting. 'Cause he was like a hero of mine, So he's looking at the car, and I said, of all cars, I wouldn't want you to have seen this one, right? Because it was very, it was like, it had to be very airbrushed, and it was loud. It was louder than it had to be. It worked for me very well. I don't have any regrets. The car did me more than its justice. But, you know, it was like, this is Chip Foose. This is like classy, you know, he builds these beautiful. So I told him, I said, this really isn't the car I want you to see, but, you know, I guess here we are, right? And he goes, no, this is really interesting. He goes, there's a lot of things you did with this car that are different that you don't see. This is the first of me seeing some of these things. And so I was like, okay, cool. And then he asked me about overhauling. He said, you know, you ever thought about doing overhauling? Who hasn't? Who works on cars hasn't
thought about
so
that.
I played it off. Yeah, you know, I thought about it. So and I said, well, no, actually, I spoke to this producer and that producer, but then I guess they're not there. He knew their names, is what kind of got me on the fast track to getting in. He goes, oh, okay. He goes, I'll tell you what, draw me up this car. I think it was like a GTO and maybe GTO and something else, classic car. So instead of drawing something gaudy like he saw, I kind of surprised him with something classy, which I knew he'd appreciate more. And I sent him really, really nice. Okay, when you're sending a drawing to Chip Foose, okay, it's like, it's loaded, because like he did, well, the camera can't see it, but that's the Nomad. He drew that in front of me.
Wow.
That's like, so me sending him a drawing, I must have ripped up like 100. I'm like, nah, it's garbage, garbage. So finally, it's funny how quickly things move when Chip's involved. Because that Monday morning, I got a phone call from a producer. Hey, Chip wanted me to call you, and I was like, holy. Now I'm like, okay, I got to really get these drawings out and do everything right.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, this gentleman had a Purple Heart prize, like the paper, shrunk down to this, and he was telling me this story. He was in a bomber plane, and he got shot at, and the plane was flying so low they didn't think they could make it. I guess it was Germany, right? They were bombing or whatever, and they couldn't get out. They figured that we're definitely not going to make it out. So they just bomb the crap out of things they normally couldn't get to, being so far away to avoid getting hit. So they like destroyed everything they wanted to destroy, and like some of their guys got hit. The plane's leaking fuel, and they said it was just a mess. But they're like, we didn't get hit yet, really bad. Let's try to make it home. And then they turned around, and they got out, and they lived.
Wow.
And it was just like one of those stories. I got to kind of jump into that guy's life who was working on his car.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like when you can walk through a car show and say, oh, that's a cool car. Oh, that's a cool car. You know, oh, that's a really old car. But then once you start talking to the person and find out like where the car came from, some of them like they had it since new. Some of them, oh, that was my father's. You know, some of them they're like, oh yeah, I wanted this car all my life and I found it in a barn. You know. And I always tell people, don't just walk around and, you know, look at the car. But that person sitting behind the car in the lawn chair, go up and say hello.
Oh, of course, yeah.
They got the best stories. And I wouldn't be going for 13 years if it wasn't for that. If it wasn't for that.
Yeah.
You know?
That car you saw when you pulled up, the 52 Chevy, that's got such a story. That guy's been working on that car for like 30 years.
See?
And like he was literally in his garage doing this, doing that. And I get to hear like the whole process and where he got this part, where he got that part, where he got this idea, where he got that idea. So I told him, I said, when you're done, we're going to do a podcast with you and just have you like blah, like the whole thing, you know, from start to finish. And that's what's cool about what I do is I get invited into that dream a little bit. You know, like I don't necessarily need my own, like the SEMA project is one thing because you kind of have to now. I'm like at the point where I have to do something like that.
Yeah.
But I've always been content because I'm invited into other people's projects and their dreams and like they love it, and then I get kind of pulled into that for a short period of time, and it's really cool.
That's the best part about what you do, right?
I appreciate it, And again, but then you get the person that you do something amazing, and they go, "Here's your money, thanks, see you later."
Oh,
and you know, like
and I get the person who says, you know, I painted that car and you didn't put my name in.
Yeah.
Now, cars don't come with labels.
Yeah.
You know, I told them that. Cars don't come with labels.
Yeah.
If so-and-so who had the car didn't say, oh, Joe painted this, there's no way I'm going to know. Yeah. But then I get the phone call. You know?
Well, you know, we've had a lot of little, you know, we've
there
had
some... There could be 50 people involved with a car.
Yeah.
You know, and the guy's not going to remember to tell me all of them.
And you try to listen. You know, we've had our, you know, I've had some bumpy roads with some of the, you know, people I work with and friends and stuff, and you never... You know, you don't know what's going to be in, you know what's going to be edited out, you don't know. Sometimes when you're talking to somebody, like when we did the podcast with Jeff Allen, it was very controlled. Like he had, well, I shouldn't say that. The Cars Yeah podcast was probably more this. He had a path and what he wanted to talk to you about. And, you know, it wasn't like, hey, Ed worked on this car with you. And you know, sometimes I think back and say, oh, you know, listen, I should have said, maybe this guy, my guy's in the shop, because I give them a lot of credit.
Sure.
I've never taken any of this, ta-da, and been like, it's just me. A lot of people do, and usually you can see them far away. You know, for me, it's like, I really genuinely believe it's more a team effort, you know, to do great things is easier when you have multiple people looking in the same direction. But if your ego gets too big, now it's just you looking in that direction. And you're never going to be as powerful as a handful of people.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And again, like, I'm a big fan of, and that's one of the things I love about that what we're going to be able to do now is we could shine a little light on someone who maybe hasn't had the light shine on them yet. You know, and there's people that put in hours and hours and hours, and they put in all that hard work without necessarily some of this stuff. And this is great. I love it. Anybody says that, you know, that doesn't feel good, it does. The trick is to not let it get to your head. And people that don't know me, they think it gets in my head. All right, guys, this and that.
Yeah, no.
And then they meet me, and then they go, oh, you're nothing like I thought you were. I'm like,
exactly.
You should have done like what you said, is talk to me. You know? But listen, sometimes ego is the killer of you know, of everything.
Absolutely.
It puts you into a position where you're trying to live up to your ego and not work for happiness and heart and love. Like, to me, when I'm working, that flow state, that great, like, oh wow, I didn't think that was going to work with this like that, but look how well it works together. That little moment is what I live. That's like my drug, you know. And people say, oh, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, you know, but I do have an addiction, and it's that I chase that feeling. That's why I've been here so long.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's horrible, you know. It's, you know, and people only see this, some of this stuff, which is nice. You want them to see it, so it's like you kind of want to be. You know, you want to be able to be the real deal person, but you want to put the good stuff you get out there for business. But the real person to me, I don't take any of that too seriously. Yeah, that's why when you say a humble, I mean, to me, it's like, I just feel like I was lucky to find what I love to do, you know.
And a lot of people do that to me too. They're like, oh my God, you have the best job in the world. I'm like, sometimes. Not when I'm walking around in a 100-degree car show, you know, and then
when you
have
have to be
three
there.
of them a day, and I have to be there, and I have to drive there, and then, you know, I'm there for 8 hours sitting in a booth, you know.
Yeah.
You know, just putting my ride out there, you know. And sitting there for 8 hours with twiddling my thumbs, you know. It's.
But what else would you imagine yourself doing?
I don't know.
That's the question.
I don't know.
I've had a lot of opportunities to do things that were, in the beginning, definitely more profitable, where I could have just had a great job. I've turned down amazing jobs. And, you know, to the point where people are like, are you stupid? They do this on the side. Go do this and make some money. And, you know, in the beginning I was like, well, I don't know why I'm saying no, but I kind of have to say no for some reason. And, like, you know, my family's like, what are you, stupid? Why are you doing, you know? But that's, unfortunately, like, when it comes to success, and I don't necessarily mean just financial success, I am now starting to believe that success is about what you do your whole life as a whole, not just how much money you make. Because I know people that make a ton of money that are miserable. They just have no, like... So, you know, for me, I've been looking back and thinking about, like, those hard decisions I made in the beginning, like, when I was broke. Like, I remember I turned down a job to make a whole lot of money. Would have meant me moving, but a whole lot of money. No responsibility. People work under me. Come and go as I please. Company car. Everything I could ever want. And I still said no. I was like, why did I say no? Because it was a tough time for me. I was moving from one place to the other. And it was just my gut told me, like, no, this is your path. That shitty path right there, that really bad path that looks dangerous, that's your path. So I was like, oh.
A lot of times I'd come home and I'd be, like, miserable because I had a tough day. People call me, like, you left my name out of the article or whatever, you know, or I got 5 car shows to do on Saturday, and I'm like, sometimes I think I just want to end this all. You know, because I get so frustrated. But sometimes I'll come home and I'll say to Jay, you know, why don't you let me quit? I'll go work at Dollar General. I love Dollar General. I love Dollar General.
I have a Dollar General. Okay, so we'll go back to your story. I live up in a mountain now, right? And I was like, it's so great up here, but it's like 10 minutes into town. Like, if you want a Tic Tac, you got to drive 10 minutes. So I'm leaving my house one day and I see they're clearing an area and I'm like, huh. And I used to say before, this place would be great if it was just one store to buy like milk.
Yes.
If we could just buy milk, I'd be thrilled. So they're clearing an area, and they're clearing a pretty big space. And I go to the people across the street and I'm like, what are they putting over there? Like a Dollar General. Yeah. I'm like, are you kidding me? I swear to you, I know them by name. I walk in there, the Ed. I'm like,
these people know what they're doing. They pop up in the middle of like nowhere. Nowhere. Like the lake house I have upstate. It's like you have to go freaking 30 miles to get to the nearest supermarket.
Yeah.
God forbid you forget something.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean.
And then they put a Dollar General like
everything.
right down the road.
That curtain is from Dollar General,
That's
right there. And I bought eggs and effort at Dollar General.
Exactly.
The glue I used at Dollar General. I literally walk around it like an amazement. I'm like, this place has a little bit of every little thing.
Yeah, it's a
You would
great
think they're sponsoring us, but it is really amazing.
It's a great store. And if I ever did quit, with doing my writing stuff, when I retire, I'm going to work at Dollar General.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's my dream job.
It's so funny. The other day, because we were in there a lot, and we, like I said, I literally, so say we go to Walmart, we go over shopping, and we forget, like the other day I forgot olive oil.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm not driving back to town. Go, Dollar General probably has olive oil. Sure enough, they have olive oil. So, my fiance and my daughter were in there the other day. My daughter wanted this pen, and we try to like not give her everything.
Yeah.
I probably bought her every toy at Dollar General, right? They're like $5-10.
Yeah.
I come home, I forget to do something nice for her. So she said, Sarah's like, no, let's teach her a little bit of restraint. And then the girl there goes, I'll buy it for you. And she buys her this like big ridiculous pen. So we made her cookies, and we bring cookies to Dollar General. It's so funny.
Like the Dollar General.
But they know us like, but it's so convenient. It's like literally like 2 miles from my house.
Yeah, I love Dollar General.
So now if there's a snowstorm, I could walk and get, so it's awesome.
Yeah, as we're riding like through the countryside or whatever, all of a sudden you go around the corner and there's
boom,
Dollar
and they might be opening.
I'm like, Jay.
That's so funny. They may be opening a Dunkin' Donuts next to this one, so I'm like,
oh my God.
Now we're, so.
Wow, best of both worlds.
So, let's see what else. Oh, motorcycle riding. When did you get into that?
Oh, geez, I've been riding.
Is that with Jay, or was that a?
Yeah, kind of with Jay. He rode motorcycles. Not a lot. He was more a car guy, but he rode motorcycles. But I've been riding probably for about almost 20 years or so. And I started on the back of his bike. And then I wanted to learn how to ride.
Yeah, I'm getting off the back of the bike or getting in front of my own bike.
Grabbing them handlebars, my man. And how I learned was I sat in front of him, and then he was on the back, and then I,
eventually
rode his bike.
That's awesome.
And then he got me. My first bike was a Honda Shadow.
That's cool.
Like, was it 250?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I stayed off him.
Yeah, and rode it around my backyard. And then back then you had to take the road test.
Yeah.
And so I took my road test on that little thing, and that was my first bike, and then my next bike was a Harley 883.
Oh, okay, wow.
A little too high, a little too top heavy for me, so I couldn't wait to get rid of that thing. And then found the bobber, bought the bobber, and then Jay bought me the Heritage. No, he bought me the Road King after that.
Okay.
And then for my last year, for my anniversary, he bought me the
blue one, the one
that
Monty did the
one that Monty did the
pinstriping.
pinstriping on. Yeah,
that was my favorite moment ever. I was like, oh my God, I get to put pinstripes on my car and have Monty do it. It was a perfect situation.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, he's super talented.
Really good guy.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yep.
When we had the shop in Nanuet, there was some ratty R6 like street bike, you know, and I would. Because we were behind the Nanuet Mall, so there was a lot of little area that you didn't really have to be on the road. So I would take it, no helmet, and I would cruise it around the parking lot, really slow, terrified. My brother and sister were EMS, so they're like, you can't have a motorcycle, you never have a motorcycle. So I cruised around the parking lot, and then I started going, and I was starting to like, this is a lot of fun. I rode skateboards and BMX bikes and freestyle bikes, and it was the first time I got that weird feeling back again. I'm like, oh, this is fun. And then I put a helmet on because I wanted what it felt like with a helmet. I never had a helmet on. I just cruised around in that neighborhood there. And then I put a helmet on, and then I got scared because I'm like, wait a minute, I can't see like I used to be able to. It kind of freaked me out. And then I started thinking about getting a motorcycle, you know, and then I was like, well, if I fall and hurt my hands, to me, it would be devastating. But again, I was thinking, and I had customers, I had guys drop me off nice bikes and be like, hey, this is your tip, keep this bike, or do this bike, you know, do a stereo in my car and you can keep this bike, like really good deals. And then my buddy Jared, who passed away, but he used to do like all those stunts, like endos and wheelies and everything.
Yeah.
And so, like, our shop in Nanuet was like the Wild West. Like, we'd be drinking beers and wrestling and riding motorcycles and, like, super unprofessional. But, you know, after hours, like, people would just come there to hang out. So there'd be, like, 30 people outside and people be, you know, hanging out. And he's doing wheelies. And he actually dropped the bike and broke the handlebars.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't mess with it anymore. And I was like, you know, that's a sign. Like,
yeah.
Because if I had rode that for another week, I would have went out and bought a bike. Yeah. Because I was just starting to get like, okay, I can control this. I felt comfortable. And then
Yeah. You know, sometimes I get a lot of flack from when I'm out in the car world. They're like, oh, you got more stuff in your you know in the paper about motorcycles than you do cars, and that's first of all that's not true.
Not true. I watch it all the time.
It's a nice, comfortable balance.
Yeah. And it could go this way a little bit, you know.
You know, and they're you know, because I'm always on my motorcycle.
But it's got to be about what feels right to you. It can't be about making someone else happy.
And when somebody says that to me, I say to them, well, how come you're driving a Ford? Why aren't you driving a Chevy?
Yeah.
Well, because I like Fords. Yeah, but why aren't you driving a Chevy?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's what you prefer. Well, I prefer motorcycles over driving a car.
Yeah.
Just what I like.
Yeah.
You know? All my friends ride motorcycles, you know, and that's who I'm hanging with.
That's what I think I would, the camaraderie, I guess, of people, bikers getting together, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So I have another question for you. So, entering this automotive world, being a woman, how did that, maybe not now, but maybe when you got started, were there any roadblocks or weird vibes or people that would, I would assume?
Oh, yeah.
Or you know more than the guys that have the car?
It's funny you should ask that because I did a talk for the Walk-Hill Historical Society not too long ago about that very subject.
Wow.
About a woman in a man's kind of world.
Well, that's like Maya. That's like Maya with Ice, where she's a woman in a real man's world. We're going to get her on here too one day and do them.
I went up to two guys that were sitting there and I said to them, I said, Rich and Joe, and I said, I can just imagine the conversation this morning. Hey, Rich, you going to the meeting today? Yeah, why? Because that woman from the newspaper is going to come and talk about cars.
Oh, that's awesome.
And she's blonde.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's how I started out my talk. Yeah. But it was really tough in the beginning for guys, you know, in shops and stuff to take me seriously. Like, does she really know what she's talking about, kind of thing, you know? And they were pretty much prepared. Like, when I got there, like, now this is the spark plug.
Oh, God, that's so funny.
And just learning from Jay, you know, I knew exactly, I mean, I know what I'm looking at, you know?
Yeah.
So this one guy says to me, he says, you know, and if you look right here, Donna, I said, oh, wow. I said, you got a small block Chevy in there? And he was like, you know what that is? And I'm like, awesome. I said, look, I wouldn't be writing about this stuff if I didn't know what I was looking at.
Yeah, of course. I'll give you a great story. I'm in Home Depot, right? I'm looking for some special fine thread bolts. I'm half awake. I'm aggravated that I even had to stop there in the first place. So I'm looking, and this lady comes up to me. She goes, can I help you? And I was like, admittedly, I know it's going to sound horribly sexist to me. I was like, well, yeah, it's kind of tricky. I'm looking for something special. You know, I don't know if there's someone around here that really knows a lot about this stuff, but if you can find some...
You said that to her?
In a roundabout way. That wasn't my exact words. Something like that came out of my mouth. And I literally said, oh, God, I sound like him. You know. I said, and she goes, oh.
Really?
And I was like, oh, this is going to sting, because I knew where she was going. And she's like, well, the pitch on this one is this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And we have over here, and these are fine, these are metric. And I'm just like, you just lost me. And she looked at me, and she's like, huh? I'm like, I apologize. I realize what I just did, and I'm so sorry. She goes, no problem, honey. It happens all the time. Like, all right, tell me, because I don't know nothing about what you're talking about.
Yeah. But a lot of backyard shops, spooky garages. You know, beware of dog signs, you know, and all that stuff. And in fact, I was in one shop, and I was interviewing this guy, and all of a sudden this other car pulls up, and a guy gets out of the car, and he is like yelling, and the guy says to me, "Oh, this guy's got a problem with me," you know. So I'm like, okay, them two were gonna have their little talk, you know. So I kind of wandered around and was looking at all the stuff and everything. And this thing is getting more heated and more heated and more heated. So I'm like looking around, I'm like, oh my God, if he knocks him out, like, what the fuck am I gonna do? You know?
Finish the interview with that guy.
Yeah.
So what made you so angry today? Sit down.
And there was like this huge big wrench. I picked up that wrench and I hid behind that car. And next thing I know, the guy that I was interviewing says to him, "Look, you better not start anything because Donna Kessler from the Times World Records here." I'm like, oh my God,
now you
just
can't even
gave
hide.
me up. Now he's gonna kill me too. Oh my God, this wrench is gonna kill this guy's gonna kill me.
Sitting there like,
I mean, there was like nowhere to run.
That's
there
funny.
was like I said, back down the road, dead end.
I got a few of those. Someone, meet me here, look at a part, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to go down this road, and you know, I can handle myself, and I'm still like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's funny. I've had a few. Listen, if my biggest problem in business at first, it was something I actually learned from Gil. From Gil, he has a very I can't make everybody happy attitude.
Yeah.
Which is realistic. What I was very guilty of in the beginning was. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, he'll go out of his way to make you happy, but at a certain point, he's not going to kiss your ass to make you happy, is what I'm saying. And that was something I learned from him because, in the beginning, I would just, like, fall over backwards to make people happy because I was so afraid somebody wouldn't like me.
Me too.
Oh, my God, if someone didn't like me. And then one of my friends, like, he goes, no one dislikes you. You're not doing it right. If you don't have any enemies, then what are you doing? Like, you have to have someone you rub the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had one guy, and my thing was, like, I started in business young, and I always got that. Oh, you're young. How do you know how to run a business young? And I made my mistakes. I made plenty. I made mistakes for 10 people. But, it was young. I had one guy come in, and he had a, Radio Shack badge on. He was telling me I don't know how to run a business. And I snapped, and I got a little nasty. I said, "You sell batteries for a living, and you're going to come in here." And it turns out he came back to the shop. He apologized. He embarrassed his son because I was working on his son's car, and his son didn't want to tell him what I had told the son because it was kind of like money and bad news. And he just told his son, "I doesn't have time," but I did have the time. Yeah. And the guy came in and started yelling at me. And he was like, this, that, and like kind of borderline threatening. And I always had when I was young, I had a little bit of a hot temper. And I put it away because you can't have that in business. You can't just freak out. You got to stay calm. And then when he was like, you don't know how to run a business, he's like getting on me. And I remember I dropped the amplifier in the car I was working on. One of my guys looks at me, he's like, oh God, what are you going to do? Yeah. So I got in his face a little, and I was like, don't come in here. Don't tell me how to run my business. You think I didn't tell you, son? Get him in here. Yeah. And he calls his son and he goes, did he tell you this? And he goes, actually, he did that. Yeah. And the father was like, oh yeah. Comes back the next day with 3 pizza pies.
Yeah, sure.
And he said that he spoke to 10 different shops. And out of the 10 shops, 8 of them told him to use me to do the job.
There you go.
So, and then I said, hey, you're big enough to apologize, which is easy to do. Shook his hand, and we were friends ever since. But you do get those. See, it's weird because when you deal with a younger kid, you have the brother and the father and the mother that feel like if something's not right. I had one kid, we painted his side skirts. I had someone else painting for me, and they got a run on it. And I said, listen, dude, I'm going to put your front and back bumper on, but your side skirts, I want to fix them. I'm not happy with it. Yeah. The father comes down to my shop wanting to kill me. And I look homeless, or still to this day. I look like you see me outside, I think I'm a homeless person. So the guy walks up to me and he's got this $100,000 Cadillac. He's got a $20,000 watch on. He's in my face. He's poking and yelling and screaming. And I was like, dude, I'm trying to talk to you. Do you even know what happened with you and your son? Like, is this something? Is there a miscommunication? You don't know who you're messing with. Blah blah blah.
Oh, good.
So I looked at him and I said, let me ask you a question. Who's got more to lose, you or me?
Yeah.
And then he got quiet. I said, let's talk about that threat you just made. let's finish that, because now I'm like,
yeah.
I don't want to talk about your car anymore. I'm angry now.
Yeah.
And I pulled myself back. He apologized. Came back the next day, same thing. I'm super sorry. I was an asshole. My son told me you were looking out for him. Instead of him thinking I was trying to screw him, like, I don't know if you think I was trying to sell his parts somewhere. I don't know what.
Yeah, or double charge him for another paint job or whatever.
And that's the biggest problem when you have more than one person.
Oh yeah.
If you work on a car, like I have a car that 2 partners. And it's like I tell this guy one thing and he's okay with it, and then this guy calls me and he doesn't know what's going on with this, and they don't talk, and it's so.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've learned it's a delicate, it's a trickier to learn how to do all the stuff physically. Isn't so bad. To learn how to deal with people.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Yeah. So you know, it's you know, some people love that you give them attention. Some people, you know, they could care less, and that's what weird for me because I get so emotional involved with people in general.
Yeah.
And when someone's like, I give them something that looks really cool, and they're like, all right, cool, man, thank you. And I'll be like, do you not like it?
Yeah,
no, I love it. And then they go right back down to monotone. I'm like, what does that mean? You know, then I've had people cry. You know, like people like is so emotional. Like I said, you're getting invited into someone's dream. So when you make that a little more, you take a little extra time, you know.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, that's what I like.
Yeah.
You know, trying to give back and do some. I have some plans to do some cool things. You know, some of this TV stuff we're working on and SEMA and all that. But I want to try to reach out to kids maybe that were in the same situation as me that didn't have a father, because it really affected my security. Even though I was, you know, I was a pretty tough kid, I went through a lot of stuff, and I always thought I was super strong, but you know, without having a father, it's weird what it does to your, you know, it makes you like, in a way, it made me my own man. I never had a good or bad example to follow.
Yeah.
But there was always that, like, I felt there was limitations on me. Because I wasn't part of like the kids I grew up with had the mother, the father. They went to Disneyland every year. They had, and I hate to say it, some of those kids are the worst shape.
Yeah.
You know, like when you look down the road, you go like, there were kids I grew up with that had everything.
Yeah.
And now they don't know how to work hard, or they don't even want to work hard because what they had growing up they can't reach now, so they're not happy.
They don't know how to appreciate.
To me,
that.
I mean, we grew up, you know, moving from house to house, worrying if we were going to keep our house once we got to Rockland. So, and that's probably why I worked so hard, because I saw my mother struggle. She was in the post office 10 hours a day, and then she went and waited tables for another 6 or 7. So I saw her break her ass, and she never had the opportunity to really pull out of the hole, even though she did amazing things. My mother, she could do anything, and that's where I kind of got, I think, some of my attitude from. It was, you know, so that's probably why I have that just go, you know, always like wanting to do stuff. So.
Yeah. My mother was a single mother too. Brought us 3 kids up by herself. Yeah.
See,
my father died like when I was 9.
9? See, that's tough.
Yeah.
Because you knew your father a little. Unfortunately, my father was shot when I was 3. So I didn't know him. I didn't know what I was missing to a degree. It's weird to not know half of who you are. That's a strange thing to never know. I have some memories that I don't know if I fabricated them or if they're real, but you know, it's people have it worse. I think that, you know, sometimes people let their childhood and their influences of other people tell you what you can do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now I'm starting to see, like, I should have never listened to anybody. You just got to go with your gut. Like, most of the time when people tell you what you can't do, it's because they can't do it, or they don't think they can do it. And then you do something that they didn't think you could do, and they go, oh, wow. You know, like with me, when I first got started, you should just go work at a dealership or work sales or do this. And, like, when you hear that in the beginning, when you're vulnerable from people you care about, it messes you up.
Yeah.
You know, it makes you, like, second-guess yourself. And then once you make it, and it's so funny, because all the hard work and all the things I accomplished that aren't on a wall are more real than this. This is like Candyland to a degree, but they see this and they go, oh, congratulations, I always knew you'd make it. Oh, so, and I'm going, no, you didn't. You never did. You never supported me. Like, and not in a bad way. You know, even sometimes family, you know, like people want what's best for you. But really what's best for you is to follow your dream. Wherever that takes you, I always think following where your heart is always the right thing to do, even if you fail. Even if you fail 30 times. Right. You know, and it's like funny because all this is okay, so for every picture on this wall, there's 100 things I messed up. Like, it's like, you know, and that's part of the process. You go, oh, you'll never do that way again. That didn't work, you know, so. But I just don't let that get to me. You know, I try to use other people as role models. If You know, if like up at OCC, you know, I see these guys TIG welding, I'm right over their shoulder, like, how you doing?
Yeah.
Even though I TIG welded when I was young, and I was actually decent at it, it seems like that's the one thing, like, just evaporated. Now I'm just like a mess. You know, the machines are more complicated now, so I don't know if I have it set right.
Yep.
So I always try to find someone that's done something and try to, you know, so that's kind of why I would like to maybe try to find some kids, maybe some BOCES kids that maybe are in the same world I was in, and try to, you know, say, hey, look, anything you want to do in your life is possible. Even with my daughter, I tell her every single day, you can do anything you want. I never want her to think, oh, I'm a woman, I can't do this, or I can. And my sister was, you know, my sister was super successful, super smart, and she had that mentality. Her and my mother, my brother was, you know, my brother was there as my brother, but he had a very, like, he's going to be a cop, and that's his road. My sister has, like, that entrepreneurial mind, and she's very, you know, she was really involved with me growing up. So, like, I really was around two really powerful women growing up. And that definitely had a big effect on who I turned out to be, I think, you know.